Hello and welcome to Chapter 187 of the DC Alliance podcast. With me, as always, is Joe. Joe, how you doing today?
Travis, I am exhausted. Uh, Busy weekend. I had a funeral to go to on Friday, and then got my car worked on Friday, but didn't really get worked on. But then when I got back, it wasn't starting. Turns out I needed a new battery, which is a lot better than a new alternator.
Yeah,
But and then it's pouring down rain here, so I was changing the battery in the rain. So yeah, it's been busy and long, and I hate it. How
that
are
sounds
you?
brutal, bud. That sounds brutal. My plight doesn't seem so bad in comparison now. I'm good. I'm back to work today. It's a little frustrating because there's only four people in the whole department that have the job that I have, and
Okay.
the other three work from home. And the person that I replaced, like I took their job, worked from home. And I have a laptop in my cubicle that I use for my workstation. So I just it's getting frustrating that I can't get to work from home. Apparently, nobody's being allowed to work from home right now. No new people, sorry.
Gotcha.
And yeah, it's very infuriating to me because I have this perfect setup down here, just one hole right there in the back corner of the ceiling. Go drill down, put the little phone cord down, and plug in hardwired internet, and that's all that I would need. So yeah, it's very frustrating. I would love to work from home. So I'm hoping that happens before the winter. That is my fingers crossed. I was hoping for the fall, like September, but I'm not as positive about that now. So yeah, that is my frustrating things, which is not really that big of a deal. Looking at some of the things you had to do this weekend, I'm still glad that I get home at 3:30, so or 3 o'clock, depending on when I get in. So yeah, uh, I'm excited for Blue Beetle this week, though, Joe. We finally have another
Yeah.
DC film. No way it can underperform as much as the Flash, given the Flash's budget and this budget. I don't
Whoa,
think there's.
hold
Whoa,
on.
whoa,
Don't
whoa,
say
whoa,
that.
whoa! Yeah, yeah.
Don't say that.
Yeah, I just said it impossible, which is not a word. I'm hoping for good things, and we're going to get into a bit of a preview for that film. We're going to be reviewing that, of course, Friday night, the same time, the same typical time. So look for us on
Yeah.
the Geekverse YouTube channel.
About
Uh,
8 o'clock.
yeah,
We're
about
going a little
8 p.m.
early
Eastern
today,
time.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. This is Friday. I usually have a bit of a second win where there's no work on Saturday for me, so I'm like, okay, I can go longer. I'm in the for this time zone. Joe was nice enough to go a half hour early today with me. So besides that, we have My Adventures with Superman new episode that I'm excited to talk about. I'm really digging that show, and we have a little bit of DC news plus obviously our Smallville retro recaps. But before we get into all that, I have to do the network plugs, get them out of the way. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance with 7 shows in total. On Mondays, bi-weekly, is Ranger Alliance. On Tuesdays is DC Alliance. On Wednesdays is the Animation Nation. On Thursdays is Star Wars Alliance. On Fridays is Marvel Alliance. On Saturdays, bi-weekly, is a walkthrough to Multiverse. And Sundays, monthly, is World's Finest True Believers. DC Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Star Wars Alliance goes live Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And Marvel Alliance goes live Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. All three of those shows also have their own podcast feed. Search Marvel Alliance, DC Alliance, and Star Wars Alliance if you just want Marvel content, DC content, and Star Wars content only. But if you want all 8 shows on the GUA Podcast Network, stay subscribed to the GUA on your podcast app of choice. We also have a Patreon, 2 tiers, a $1 tier and a $5 tier. $1 tier is based on tip jar. You like what we're doing and you want to help us out any way you can. And the $5 tier is where you get your extra. You get your ad-free episodes, early access to episodes, and Patreon exclusive episodes. Myself and Joe, the DC Alliance guys, are going through the DC films through the years. We have the Marvel Alliance guys, Chris and Brent, going through the Infinity Saga rewatch. We have Joe's Multiverse Minutes, as well as Katie going through Star Wars comics with her husband, and Clay going through shows for the first time. We thank everyone that's a patron. If you're not a patron, if you take a quick 30 to 60 seconds, rate and review the podcast on your podcast app of choice. It's always greatly appreciated. It helps other people find the show, and that's always a good thing. Okay, that was it. Finished it all. Pretty sure didn't miss anything. Like I said, we'll be live Friday night talking about Blue Beetle.
Yep.
Ooh.
Which when are you seeing? You're seeing Thursday, right?
Yes.
Thursday night, right?
Yes.
Okay. Same. I'm seeing it like 5:15 or something. Hopefully, I'm sure there's going to be a Blue Beetle bucket, but if there's not, hopefully the guys over at Regal will actually allow me to refill my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle one and not be like, oh, well, it's not going to be feeling that. That's what
Yeah,
it's about, right?
I'm playing a little bit of violin, like it's reversed now because I will never get a chance to buy that Blue Beetle backpack
It's
popcorn
not going to be
bucket thing.
so. That's AMC, and
Okay,
I go to Regal,
okay.
so I'm not going to
Um,
get that. It'll just be like a bucket. Is all
any
I'll be
any of
getting.
our listeners that get that giant backpack popcorn bucket thing, that is awesome, and please share that on social media because I wish we only have Cineplex here. They only just put the tickets out last week for this film,
Yeah,
so
yeah, you're saying that.
I'm gonna see it 4 p.m. Newfoundland time, so 2:30 Eastern. I'll be
Okay.
seeing that on Thursday.
Yes, you'll definitely be the first one.
I'm very excited to see this film, Joe. I can't wait. I'm pumped, and we're going to get into just a little bit of talks about this before we just leave it off for Friday. So, Joe, I got to ask you, what do you hope to see most in this film?
It's gonna be a family movie, which
Hmm.
is gonna be nice. Um, Honestly, I want a good movie because I'm not expecting a lot out of this. I know there have been rumors of possible characters showing up, but like I'm not going in with like, oh, blue like Ted Cord Blue Beetle needs to show up, or oh, Booster Gold needs to show up. And I know those are little questions that you have, but like I'm not going into that with those expectations. I want this to be a good origin movie, and that's my hopes. That's really my hopes for it.
I'm with you. I'm hoping it's in the vein of like Spider-Man: Homecoming, Shazam one. Shazam one more for family, but Spider-Man: Homecoming just in the young kid getting powers. Like, uh, I I I
We could even go
really
as far as Amazing Spider-Man.
that's
We got
another
some
one as
Amazing
well.
Spider-Man vibes.
I'm excited for this film. I don't have any expectations. I'm going into this more positive than Transformers: Rise of the Beast, but I was like thoroughly enjoyed myself because I didn't have like super high expectations.
Correct, and it
So
came out actually being really good.
and you start
Go listen
tackling
to the review on Walk to the Multiverse.
yes, which I was a part of.
Of course.
I also like we have a couple characters. Yes, I don't need to see Ted Cord. You don't need to show me Ted Cord does not need to appear. But if you have Jenny Cord, his daughter, I need to hear something about what happened to him. Just even one or two lines. That's all I need. I just need
Is that
Jenny
who
just
she's supposed
saying.
to be?
I think she is playing Ted Cord's daughter. I think so.
I never even
Jenny
put that
Cord.
together.
I think so.
You know what? And that would
Because
make
I did.
sense.
Oh, the only reason I don't know that, Joe, is I saw a thing where it was a breakdown of her saying like like it was a quote from her. I don't know if it was in the film or the actress or something. It was like my father was never unable to unlock the scarab, so he used gadgets instead.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's
And that, again, that would make sense why she would have it and why Susan Sarandon's character is after the scarab.
yes,
Okay.
and you can tie in Susan Sarandon with knowing Ted Cord, but like I don't need to know what like I don't she doesn't need to know what happened to him. He could have disappeared. That's all I need. You give me that first line that I said there about him not being able to access the scarab and using
Yeah.
his. That's all I need. That's perfectly fine. But that's only if you bring her in as Jenny Cord, which is what I thought she is, Ted Cord's daughter. So
Okay.
if that's the case, then please just give me one or two lines. Don't need to see
Yeah.
Ted Cord because this is Jaime Reyes' Blue Beetle film. But if you're going to be in his lair, in his like thing, just give me a throwaway line saying like he
Sure.
vanished, he went to space, something like that.
And end of the day, if we do get some cameos, make them be the end credit scene. Will they
Yes,
go anywhere? We don't know. But I would rather have them be an afterthought than take away from the movie proper.
a perfect one for me that would be like an enjoyable cameo would be Jaime's going into an interview or leaving an interview, and on the TV it just says red blur spotted in Kansas. That's all. Superman hasn't revealed himself, or supposedly. Maybe he has, but there are heroes here.
If
But Superman is not one. That is okay. You don't have to show. That's why I said red blur, so you don't have to show the
sure,
Superman outfit that you have to
could
take.
also
Yeah,
be Flash, like you don't know.
yeah.
Like
So
if they're playing to the effect of this character is gonna be in the new DCU, I like your train of thought.
well, especially because
'Cause
we've
again, yeah,
heard
you
that
don't
there
have
was
to,
stuff edited out.
it doesn't have to be Superman, like you said.
Hmm.
Like we're gonna have a ton of characters that are already established, like we talked about for Superman Legacy. So it's anything is possible.
Yeah, so that's why, like, and I'm not. I just don't want to take away from his story, but you can still
Correct.
enrich the film just a little bit by
And yeah,
plugging a few Easter eggs in there that you might
you
get.
can have those Easter eggs,
You
exactly.
might get one of these heavy spoilers or new rock stars or something doing a video on you after your first week or in your first couple days of being in
Yeah,
theaters,
they'll put out, like,
thus
Saturday
getting
or
more
Monday or
people.
something
But
like that, yeah.
you're not getting as many of them, Joe. Like they don't come out for the DC show stuff like that. So
Yeah, because
I
they stopped watching them.
yeah. So well, there's just not they just not bringing in numbers. That would definitely be the case. Is I'll definitely I'll bit the numbers. So I just
But at the same time, like, you also people are watching those heavy spoilers episodes, which is they're watching that instead of going to the movie because they don't want to go see the movie.
some yes.
They need to. A lot of them are watching these reviews to be like, all right, I guess I should be enticed enough to go see it. But by that point, like, it's already the weekend box office is already in for reporting. It's not going to help, you know.
Yeah, and I was talking to you about this just before we went live. I went around. There's 5 people in my office that are known people go watch comic book movies are a bit nerdy. So I went around today, detrimental to my getting work done, and stopped into all 5 cubicles to have. Well, stopped into 3. 2 of them walked by, and I got them to come back in. And I genuinely asked them, "Do you know about Blue Beetle? And when do you plan to watch it? Because it's coming out on Thursday." 3 of the 5 people didn't know it was coming out, and all 5 of them said they were watching it on streaming.
Yep.
Yeah, so just I put my projection in. I was making the show notes and put my projection in far earlier. I think I might have even changed it and take it. No, yeah, I had put it in there, but I was definitely going to change it. Uh, after
It
speaking to all 5 of those people, it does not make me feel well at all. And seeing the amount of people that have tickets to buy
because
it.
what the current projection right now is what 30 million.
Yeah,
Yeah, I I'll be happy if it gets that.
because I was hoping for 50
I would
personally,
50 would be nice.
for just
50
for
would be great,
domestic. So
but I don't. There are too many people, and it's not just DC films. DC, the last handful of DC films have definitely hurt
mhm.
their profitability in the theaters, especially opening weekend. But it's superhero films in general. People are starting to get fatigued because
Yeah,
there's a
well,
lot coming out, and we've had the discussion numerous times. How can you not have that fatigue? But it's just it's inevitable, you know,
yeah. Well, this what
like
happened
Thanos.
with Disney, Marvel scaling back the shows, not as many, and same thing with films.
Yeah,
I, uh, I think that Joe, also, it's the last 2 weeks of August. You're trying to get in your last bit of summer vacation before the new year, and that's usually the worst time to get like a mass amount of people to
yeah.
go to the theater. Now, like we were talking about, I looked through the possible films like coming up. It has a good solid two
It's got like a
weeks of nothing. There's
well, but
absolutely
even
nothing.
in September, there's not a lot that I can remember that I can recall that could be like, hey, this is definitely gonna take it down. Like
Equalizer 3 will do work, but
I didn't
even
even know
that
they were making an Equalizer 3.
it comes out September 1st.
Huh, okay.
Besides that, though, again, it can stay in as a kid's
In
film for a
I'll say,
while. It's
in theory, it could go like a full month being number one. Will it? Probably not, but it's possible that it could.
like I'm
Yeah.
looking Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie, I think is
Oh
September
yeah, I saw a trailer
23rd.
for that. That looks
I'm
like a movie.
hoping the burping indication of Justice League intro is what we'll have to look forward to, and
I mean,
not
look,
Paw
here's the
Patrol.
thing. You by the time your son is old enough to watch a lot of that stuff and actually get drawn attention, there'll be something new out.
Oh yeah, there'll be a Baby Shark Paw Patrol crossover. But no, I am excited. There's a couple, like I said, we're very hesitant on the box office projections. I wanted to say 50, but I'm going to hover around. I'm going to hopefully the optimistic Travis is going to say 35, and I can't believe that's
I'm
optimistic, but
I'm right around that same.
yeah.
Some I will split difference to say 33
Okay. So we're in the 30s. We're
or
both hoping we're
32 for Travis.
wrong on the
Hope it's
like
higher.
lower side. So we talked about the DCU connections and Tig Cord. So there's a golden question as well, Joe. Do you think
If it
Booster
happens
Gold is
again,
going to?
I would love it, but who knows?
Alan the Game says 20 to 27 million domestic for opening weekend, 45 to 87 domestic finish, according to
Ugh.
Box Office Pro. See, Alan the Game, remind me though, there isn't much for the next 2 weeks in theaters. It's just about getting moviegoers there. So it's all about this first week's positive word of mouth and cinema scores. So I'm hoping.
Sure, and hopefully people will actually get that and actually be able to convince people. Like I've said it before, I got a couple of podcasting friends. One, he's going to try to see it in theaters, but if he doesn't, he's not hurt. The other one already said he's waiting until streaming. So it's a mixed bag of what's going to happen.
Do you think we get any booster gold, Easter eggs, hints, post-credit scenes?
That would be the one. If we
Scenes?
get it, it'll be a post-credit.
Yeah,
I think.
I think we could see a possible Easter egg of him. You might not even get it pointed out. It's more of a you could see it later in the Tig Cord's lair. But I do think if we see the actual character or get anything like that, it'll be a post-credit scene that leads into a possible second film.
Or just, again, a possible connection to the DCU proper.
And well, since it happens all the time, Joe, is there going to be a Wonder Woman cameo with the Wonder Woman theme song blasting out of nowhere, being like, "Oh, hi, Wonder Woman"?
She was in the last two. Let's
actually, right? There's two questions here. Will she cameo in this film, and will she promote the film? Because she hasn't done that. I'm just
no, because they're all on strike.
That's true. So what do you think about Susan Sarandon? Do you think she can pull off like a main villain, like a worthy of a full film?
I think she could. It's really going to depend on how well her character is written.
Yes,
she's a great actress.
Like
she's a great actress. So if she's, what did I just watch?
Her plan. Her plan.
I just watched Catwoman over the weekend, which is another reason why my weekend kind of sucked. But just watched that movie, and Sharon Stone as a villain, it's terrible because there's no motivation, completely no motivation. So as long as it's written well and she's got good motivation, I think Susan Sarandon will kill it.
I agree with that. She's a great actress. Alan the Game says there's 120 million production budget, excluding the marketing, is an issue. Reprofitability. Sorry, and yeah, that's a thing. The thing I'm hoping for here on the game, like I said, is a bit of legs and hitting. I don't think there's that much marketing gone into this. Like they haven't spent a lot of money in marketing in a lot of these films because WBD blew their wad for. Like they have everything allotted. They're not going to put any extra into a film, and I don't think they put a lot of money into the Blue Beetle basket. I think they put a lot of marketing money into the Flash basket, and that did not work out well.
They put a ton of money into Flash.
They had drones flying around with all three of the symbols like Flash, Batman, and Supergirl.
Yeah,
it just was like sometimes. So yeah, that is. I don't think they spent a lot on Blue Beetle. It seems like a lot of partnerships with like fast food places and some other like maybe so that they get their actual picture of their company and their brand into the movie. So you might be able to offset it that way as well. Because I know a lot of people talk about the marketing costs of films, but you also get some of these companies getting a chance to advertise in your film and they pay you and then you can use that film. Like that doesn't get reported. I don't see that ever coming in of how much you got from all these companies for the Equalizer is the one that I was talking about. Strays was rated R. On the game says Strays, Gran Turismo, and Equalizer.
Yeah, you definitely have a different crowd. Gran Turismo, Brent went and saw that in theaters, and he really enjoyed it. That will be the one I think that could hurt it a lot. Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, sure. The Equalizer it's a franchise. It's got 3 movies. I had no idea the third one was coming out. No idea.
Yeah, I don't see it. Well, obviously, with the strike, is a lot less promotion going on for a lot of this stuff here. And the final thing, Joe, there was a little GIF come from a TV spot, and I thought it was awesome. The suit transformation in full, this is like bravo. The effects are fantastic here in the like fire suit and blocking the punch.
Before we get into that, you brought up like we're worried about the legs on this one. Elementals, Pixar's Elementals is about ready to cross 300 million. It's been in theaters for 9 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say it flopped that first week, but it definitely didn't do as well as they were wanting. But it's about ready to cost 300 million. So if they leave this in theaters longer, it could definitely make back its budget. But I don't know if they, for whatever reason, WB will probably be like, "Oh, it's been out a month and it's not making money. We'll pull it, and then a month later it'll be on Max."
Well, yes,
Hi, Andrew.
let's see. Hey, Andrew. Uh, we started early, so no
We did.
apologies there.
We good.
Uh, yeah, so I don't know about that either, Joe. I'm of two minds there, to be honest with you. I'm very nervous. I don't know if this will hit the money, but again, the legs, because the Flash did so
It's gonna
good
need legs.
digitally that I'm afraid that if it doesn't do well the first couple weeks, they'll pull it as
I
quickly as well.
guarantee it'll be in theaters probably 2 weeks. Probably two. Or no, I'm sorry, not 2 weeks. 2 months. 2 months
Yeah.
total, and then they're gonna pull it because then they have to start promoting Aquaman soon, and
Well,
that's coming out in
well,
December.
well. We're not too sure about all this, so there is some wild cards with the
There,
strike
sure,
going on. If the strike keeps going,
they could
who's
push that.
who's to say that they won't keep this in theaters longer, and that could turn this being more profitable
But then
film.
that
So
falls back into you've got Dune coming out in November or December, whatever it's supposed to come out. That they haven't been able to promote that yet, and if the strike still comes, will they actually move that? If they start
I think they.
moving movies, yes, this movie could stay in theaters longer. It could get the money back.
I think if you see some of these films not do so great at the box office, like if an Equalizer 3 does a little tepid, the grand like if some of these films start to be tepid, they'll probably be more hesitant to push these out and be like, we need our actors on like promoting these films to get more people going.
Sure, maybe.
Just passive thinking, Travis. So that wraps up our Blue Beetle preview. Like I said, we'll be live Friday night discussing this film. I can't wait.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
transmission does look good, by the way.
It looks fantastic. So, Joe, let's take our first ad break of the evening. Listeners, we're an ad support network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Joe. We got some DC news, and I did hold some Blue Beetle stuff, obviously, even though we just previewed it. We got some critics sharing some reviews of Blue Beetle. Brandon Davis from comicbook.com said the Blue Beetle movie is mostly a blast. Some is too silly or childish for me. A lot of it had me laughing out loud. George Lopez in brackets. Practical suit rocks. The Latino representation is awesome. Enjoyed the family centric stakes. Sorry, solid action beats. Overall, it's fun. Frosty said, "Happy to report, Angel Manuel Soto's Blue Beetle was much better than I had expected. He's added his own flavor to the superhero genre by having the film focus on a tight knit family and Latino culture. It's fun, extremely funny, and he got away with a few jokes that floored me." So that's just a couple, I guess, Umberto Gonzalez, the last one. Blue Beetle is here, and Latinos finally have a superhero of their own reflected on the big screen. The film is so incredibly good, so unique, and delivers on all fronts of superhero genre. Much needed. The film's Tangerine Dream inspired synthwave score also rocks. I'm going to see if there are any negative ones here, but those are pretty positive. So it's nice to see. I don't see any here, so that's yep, no negative ones. So Blue Beetle was a surprise. After a shaky start, the superhero movie is full of laughter, action, lots of heart. Zolo kills it. So does Bruno. George Lopez is hilarious. Take the whole family and bring tissues. Those are some good reviews, Joe.
Is
That's
George Lopez a good guy?
don't say that, Joe. Bring tissues because you're laughing. No, never mind. That doesn't make any sense. Oh no. Uh, now I'm fearing for George Lopez. I do like it. Like I said, this needs legs. This needs momentum. This needs people. So let's hope for a positive cinema score, and let's hope we both enjoy the movie on
I think we'll enjoy
Thursday.
it. I honestly think we'll enjoy it.
Yeah,
Will we enjoy it more than we enjoyed the last handful? Flash,
I
Shazam,
have
Black
changed a bit
Adam.
of my rankings after rewatching a couple of these films
Oh,
in lead
really?
up to this. Yes, I have
Oh
shifted
yeah, I
around.
gotta do a ranking again. Crap.
Yeah, good old letterbox is saved for me.
I have all it saved, but like I don't know. I have to
wear
rewatch the
slots.
movies.
Yeah, I
I
just
think I
wanted
planned
to
on
just
rewatching them all at before Aquaman because that would be the end of the current DCEU.
I think I might join you in that as well.
It's just finding time. I have no time. It's weird. It's like I podcast too much. I don't know.
The final couple things for Blue Beetle I have here. Angel Manuel Soto says that Dave Bautista has already seen Blue Beetle and he loved it, and that he really wants him to portray Bane.
I want that so much.
I do as well.
Um,
I've heard some people say they actually want a Latino person portraying Bane as well. So I just
fair.
would love. I'd love to see a Bane origin. Just give me that.
Fair.
I'm okay with Batista taking on the role because he seems very enthusiastic about it. But I'm also would be open to anything else. Do you think Blue Beetle could be the best DC film of the year? Maybe not for the general audience, though. That's what Andrew asked. It definitely could. There is a
Uh,
possibility.
for the year, considering we had Shazam and Flash, yeah, probably.
Yeah, it could. It could very well be definitely critically as well. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out there. And again, there's a couple. He said Angel Manuel Soto also said there are some references to Man of Steel that he made while honoring and doing his work for the film, and he thought that seeing David Ayer promote his film was super cool as well. Just a bit more positivity,
Yeah.
Going into this not so great situation here, Joe. Gal Gadot speaks again about Wonder Woman 3 since we spoke last week. She said, I was invited to a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and what they told me, and I'm quoting, you're in the best hands. We're going to develop Wonder Woman 3 with you. We love you as Wonder Woman. You've got nothing to worry about. And then Variety is out here throwing doubt on this article, saying in the title, Wonder Woman 3 won't fly in the new DC universe despite Gal Gadot teasing development plans.
I mean, I wasn't thinking it was. I thought it wasn't gonna fly anyway, but I don't. This whole thing has been It's been a debacle. Like I have no idea what's
Yes,
going on.
I think this harkens back to us saying it should be a full blown reboot,
It needs to be a full
uh,
blown reboot.
and that would have been a lot less messy. I know that you enjoyed working with your cast in Peacemaker and the
Sure.
Suicide Squad, but cast those actors in different roles.
But again,
So,
well, no, yes, but just make Peacemaker 2 and Waller make those Elseworlds. That's all you
yeah,
gotta do.
yeah.
All you gotta do. And it's like, all right, cool. So they're still making stuff. They're still DC, but they're connected to the old things. Now we're moving on.
That would work out better than what they're doing here, Joe. I think it confuses some fans, and it's frustrating actors and actresses. It seems like because it makes Gal Gadot look silly
Frustrating the
saying
general
this.
audience.
So, in a shock to no one, Nextstar CEO Perry Sook said Superman Lois season 4 release date will get pushed further and further into 2024 as the strike continues. Uh, Joe, do you think we'll even see this in 2024? I got my doubts as this goes on, and I think the longer this waits, the less chance we'll get to even see a final season,
I
depending on
think
when Superman Legacy is going.
I think season 4 will happen. And it potentially could be the final season.
Hmm.
I don't think it will be. It's a good chance it may not be in 2024. Which fine. You know what? That's fine. It doesn't need to be. You know, it you can have and maybe even because nothing's happening, you can renegotiate some things and some of those characters that you bumped to the recurring, you can move back up to full time.
You could. I do. I did see the Sarah actress say that they're going to come out for like 3 episodes, guest spots. And Andrew asked, "Is Superman Lois standalone, or do I need to see the other CW shows to understand it?" Nope, it's
It's
standalone.
standalone.
And
It
they enforce that in the second season. They make that known, or at the end of the first, whenever they say like he's the only
I mean,
hero
it's
we have here.
kind of yeah. It was also kind of sort of like established uh early season 1, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was, and it's very enjoyable show, Andrew. I think
It's
you
so
would
good.
enjoy
It's
that.
one of those like if you go back to some old episodes in the archives, but I didn't watch it when it started, and I joined this show, and I did a catch up before season 3 started, and I definitely enjoyed season 1. Season 1 was amazing,
Yes,
and season 2 was
and
fine. I was able to watch back to back. I know you guys had the issue before
Yeah.
when it was taking breaks constantly.
I enjoyed the third season more than the
Third
second. It
season
goes
was good.
1, 3, 2 for me,
Same,
Andrew.
same.
It's a very enjoyable show. Tyler Hickman is great as Superman, and Betsy
Yeah.
Tulloch is really good as Lois as well.
Mhm.
Uh, but if with this, I don't think we'll see this for a while. Joe could be right though. There's contracts in place, so maybe I don't think a 10 episode final season of this is going to hurt Superman Legacy in any
It won't.
way. The old WB in the early 2000s would have been like, burn it. We can't have the
You
same thing
can't
going
have
on.
something
You
on
can't have
TV and on screen.
you can't have Bruce Wayne come in Smallville. No one show up in Smallville. No one will watch Batman Begins then. So yeah, and Andrew, I think is on HBO Max as well.
It is
Yeah,
Max,
so
not Max, not HBO Max.
Goddamn WBD and their annoyance.
Yeah, well,
So
the
Joe,
capitalism. Anyway,
we were talking about Blue Beetle potentially getting pulled like the Flash. The Flash movie won't start streaming until the fall on HBO Max because it's making loads of profit in the VOD side of things.
well, I
So
guess that's good. At
yeah,
least,
apparently it sets a DC record for long streaming wait.
which is,
Uh,
but I mean, compared
77
to,
days.
but when we had when like we started doing streaming, the first one that they had on there was Wonder Woman 84, but that was
Mhm.
also because it was day and date.
Same thing with Suicide Squad.
Well, Suicide Squad, again, day and date, but that was also like those two were day and date, and then they moved away from that in the middle of 2021.
The
Because of the
Batman one.
pandemic. It
That's
was
what
all
it was.
pandemic things
Yeah.
and contracts and all that. So they went to the model of all right, well, it will be as soon as it gets pulled. Was it as soon as it got pulled from theaters, it was 45 days, or was it as soon as it hit theaters, it was 45 days, and then it'll be on streaming?
This
I
is
can't remember.
not shocking to me because of what Zaslav said when it came in. Is we're going to put priority on the theatrical experience instead of the streaming. So I can see why you can see on this list they get longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. Well, Black Adam went there 3 days before League of Super Pets, but they've get longer and longer and longer. Little 3 day thing there for Black Adam, then longer and longer
But
again.
if they want to keep it, if they want them to enjoy the theater experience, keep it in theaters.
Yes, which is that's the problem here. Some of these are getting removed from theaters, but not going up on streaming. The same
Sure.
thing,
And a
so,
lot of it isn't the corporations. Like it's not Regal or AMC pulling it. It's the local theaters. They're like, well, we haven't had a seat sold in 2 weeks.
we
We
got to
can't.
pick something else. You're
They
gone.
drop
Yeah.
it to like 2 times or 1 time, and then they're like, all right, cool, bye. It's done. We got
Yeah.
to make room for the next movie that's gonna be in 8 of the 13 theaters.
We also have Frank Grillo commenting on Creature Commando saying, "Can't wait for this to drop. It's some of the smartest, funniest words I've ever gotten to say. James Gunn at his very best."
We don't have a
I'm
date for that, do we?
No, we don't. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, sure.
First thing for DC animation in under James Gunn. So uh, giddy up, giddy up on that, Joe. And Andrew said he saw an article saying that Flash could be on Max by the end of the month. It was from Direct. I noticed that as well, Andrew, but I couldn't find a source saying that as much. This was just comparing some of the dates and days here that for them to go from theaters to streaming.
All I want is a director's cut with all of the deleted scenes put back in.
Same,
That's all I
same.
want.
Fingers crossed on
Yeah.
that. So, Joe, actually, we'll take our final ad break before we talk about Superman and my adventure with Superman.
You don't want
Listeners,
to do that other topic before we do that break that it was only 10 minutes ago?
we can. We'll hold the ad break, dude. Yeah. So, Joe, I was looking through trying to find some topics for today because it's a little slow on
It's
the
light, and that's fine.
news. And there was a pretty cool little tweet from Home of DC, which was, "What is your favorite DC video game?" So I'm rather curious with you and anyone in the chat want to chime in. What are some of your favorites? I have a couple that are some older generation that I'll talk about as well. So
Same. I don't. So there wasn't a lot of. Don't get me wrong. Love comic book video games. They're a blast. I've played a ton of them. Like I've played Injustice.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine. Some of my favorites. Oh well, another thing. I played the Arkham games. Those are great games, but I've only
Yes.
played two of them, two out of the four, and I did enjoy them. But my favorite probably would be the Lego Batman series. All of
Ooh.
those they were they were fun when they came out. The Lego games have always been fun, and they get better and they tweak them so that the next game, while plays similar, it is its own little thing. Yeah.
Those are some good choices, Joe. I'm right there with you. I enjoyed the Lego Batman game. I really enjoyed the Arkham games. I played all four. Um, the, I enjoyed they made little changes to each one to make it like advancement. I always say like Batman walks those Spider-Man games could run,
I mean,
in my
yeah,
opinion.
100%.
So I love those. I'm a bit of an old school guy too with the game. Some of the old video games were bad. Superman 64 gets the ire of my existence all the time because
A
I
lot of
actually
people's
bought,
actually.
but I bought the game because
Ooh,
Superman, and I had dial-up internet back then, so it wasn't exactly like I could watch uh, YouTube videos or anything of someone playing the
sure. I
game to
know what
see
you're
it.
doing.
So I just looked at the back to the backs, and Superman's flying, and I'm like, "Oh, this is cool," and I get it, and it's one of the most terrible experiences of all time. So that's like on the one end, but then you get Batman for Nintendo, regular
Uh,
Nintendo Entertainment
Batman
System.
89.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was
Yes.
fantastic. That was such a great
I
game for the time.
I did love that game back in the day.
Very like standalone. I just loved it. There was Batman and Robin. No, Batman the animated series for Super Nintendo. I really enjoyed that. That was like going through all the Batman the animated series levels, going fighting all the characters. It was a very difficult game, but I really enjoyed it. And that's the same with Superman, the Death and Return of Superman for Super Nintendo as well,
Yeah, I never did play that one.
As well as Batman Returns. Those were some good just beat 'em up games. So
There
yeah,
was
there was
I never This was a board game. It was Batman Forever board game. I played that all the time. I think we talked about that during the Batman Forever DC films through the years
And I think we
experience.
talked about the terrible game that was Batman Forever as well.
I think we did.
That was a stinker game that
Yeah.
I had for Sega that was
Yeah.
awful. But I'm trying to think of there was some
Yeah, like
there wasn't much in Super Nintendo, to be honest with you. I can't even think of anything enjoyable. There was some Batman games I played, not Super Nintendo, PlayStation and stuff like that, that it was not enjoyable. Batman.
I'm looking at my games over there, and other than Arkham series, I've got like the Lego Avengers,
Yeah, that was enjoyable, but that's
but
like on
that's Marvel.
the other
But like
side. Like you
other
said,
than
the
that, like
Injustice games
I've got
too.
like Uncharted and Tomb Raider. I do got Injustice. I just I love Mortal Kombat, but I don't know. It just the older I got with that game, the more I'm just like, I'm fine. I don't need
The
to beat them
most
up
fun
anymore.
I had playing those games was when there was a room of 3, 4, 5 people, and if you lost, it was someone else's turn, and you just played a different
Sure.
person. When you had a whole load of friends back when we were
Back in
kids.
the day. Now it's just
Yes.
me, and I don't feel like
Yeah, and I'm
playing
just
with people
playing
anymore.
computer, trying to
Yeah.
play, like, so yeah, I did enjoy it. I thought it looked super cool, and the story was awesome. Andrew
Oh, you
says,
know what? I
"How
had
dare
the
you?" Andrew says, "How dare you mention Marvel, Joe?" Uh, on the game asks, "Are there any successful solo non-Batman related DC games?"
um
Ooh,
so
like I said, the Death and Return of Superman for Super Nintendo it wasn't like super successful. It was a good game, so
I've
I
got the
would say,
Young Justice for my DS. I haven't played it. It's
ooh.
based off of the Young Justice show. So uh
Uh, but yeah,
I
the handheld stuff I'm not sure about. I do. There's a lot more titles in those kind of games, in those
yeah,
systems, Joe.
exactly.
In DS, and I think Wii U has another one as well. So, but on the game, I don't know of any super successful. Honestly, besides the Arkham games, the Batman '89 game from the regular Nintendo did sell a lot. It was a
It
good,
did
like, it
well,
was
yeah,
on
because
the
it was
high
Batman
charts.
89. No, non Batman games. I don't like we talked about Superman 64 and how terrible that was. I know they had a potential another Superman remake soonish,
They've been
but
kicking around that
yeah,
for since the
it
PlayStation
never came
3, I
out.
think, which
Um
it would be awesome if you had open world but Superman concept. But that could even work. That's why I would like a
You
Justice
could,
League, even do a Justice League animated series game, and
yeah.
have you could still have all the characters flying around, and you wouldn't have to get the realism of like a real person's face and stuff like that. You could do
I think
cartoon.
you could make the argument that Injustice, did well. I mean, heck, it's not
Oh, did
it's not a Batman game. It's the whole team. Plus, from that game spawned a second game and a whole comic book series. So
yes, which was fantastic
I would
series.
I would say that's successful, and a really shitty animated movie.
Yeah, a terrible anime movie and a fantastic comic series that you could hear be reviewed on World's Finest True Believers with guest me at the time. So yeah, we it was that's an enjoyable series. But besides that, no,
Yeah, I can't
again
think of anything off the top of my head.
I think this is one of we're living in a golden age of comic book films the last 10, 15 years in terms of quantity, but the video game side of comic things is getting neglected in a little bit, in my opinion. I think there could be far more of those made. And I think
Well,
Marvel's taking a stab at it with the Logan game coming out, or the Wolverine Logan, whatever it's called, and the Spider-Man game it
and
has everyone buzzing.
Star Wars has been doing good with a lot of their
Yes,
games.
Jedi
The
Fallen Order was fantastic.
Exactly, and that is connected to the current canon.
Yeah,
So that's a good sign that with what Gunn and Safran said of how the DCU is going to be connected over movies, TV, and video games. Potentially, we could get a good DC video game soon.
we could.
I'm not saying it in the next. I, I could definitely see it within the next 5 years.
And I
I
would
think
love
something
for it
will
to
be
be a
announced in like
Superman
2 or
game.
3 years.
But knowing Gunn and like just the amount of heroes he's putting into Superman Legacy, I feel like he would like to get a game out where you could play as more than one hero.
Probably, yeah.
Mhm.
So, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, still there's some good choices there, guys. Most of them we've all played. There's a very small amount of DC games, unless you've played since the Atari days.
There's probably more out there that we just can't think of off the top of our heads. But I know there's some that were just crap.
There's some really bad ones. There's some really bad games. But again, there are some fun gems, especially in the older systems. You might want to check them out sometimes. So, Joe, now we will take our final ad break of the evening. Listeners, we're an ad-supported network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Joe, we got a new episode of My Adventures with Superman. Episode 7. What do you think about this episode?
Favorite episode so far. This episode was awesome. I understand. So, spoiler alert, if you didn't watch it, we're going to be dealing with Multiverse. I understand everybody deals with Multiverse anymore, but this, I feel, was handled very well because it wasn't like, with Across the Spider-Verse, you had literally every single Spider-Man variant shoved in your face. This one, you are focusing on like 3 or 4 different Loises and a Jimmy variant. And then you get to see on screen the Lois variants, like other Lois variants, and then other Superman variants. And Mixie Pillick, like, come on. Like, I thought he was fun, did a really good job. I had a blast. This was a blast. Like, this is an episode that I definitely want to rewatch to see like all of the all of the Easter eggs I missed. Because I saw like the early Superman stuff, like 1950s Superman cartoon, both Lois and Superman in there. Like, they're paying homage to every animated Superman ever, and it was great.
And Andrew says, I love this episode, and I'm right there with both of you guys. I loved it. He says he thought it handled the multiverse better than the Flash. Yeah, so I really love this as well, Joe. I love the whole aspect of this, and this is how you can do a filler episode, but still, or an episode completely off the beaten path, but still have stuff so quintessential to the flowing story going throughout the whole thing. That I really love this. Like you said, I got lost in some of this. In a good way, the whole Council of Lois or League of Lois League of Lois
League
or
of Lois.
Cancel
Yeah,
League of
League
Lois.
of Lois.
Loved it. Loved the different iterations. So many Easter eggs / paying homage. We get the Superman the animated series and Lois from Superman the animated
Yep.
series. We get Lois from Fleischer cartoons. We see her swinging around doing her thing. I loved it. It was
We
so
got a
cool.
Crab Superman.
It was,
That
we
was
do.
fun.
We get a crab. Was
Imagine
that a
turns into
crab?
a crab.
And Mr. Mitsuplik, I love the just a variation, like
Mhm.
another version of him, and I loved it. I love how his hat gives him the main powers, and Lois's are fighting against him. There's something I want to talk about at the very end of the episode that I'm interested in your thoughts on. Just a way that I would think a character would act, given some of the things, some of the stances that were made throughout this first season that I will
Yeah.
hit you with. But besides that, I really like the zaniness, the world traveling, and I saw some people complain, "Oh, great, another multiverse story." I loved it. I thought it was great, and I love how they caused it. So it comes back to helping the brain and
Mr. Mala.
Mr. Mala out cause all this. And I love how they're trying to keep that on the down low the entire time.
Which they had to have known. Come on, they had
Yeah.
to have known.
Well, Flamebird Jimmy from in the League of Lois, she definitely knew. She was
Yeah.
a cool. She was
She was cool.
awesome.
Yeah. It's nope. Lost my thought. Go ahead. Yeah.
We get our first we get our first exposure to kryptonite too for Superman here. The Lois is shooting with a kryptonite gun, and you see
Yeah.
him.
He finds out he's from Krypton because
Yeah,
Mixpilix told him that.
yeah. He was like, "What?" And he didn't tell him anything else. I love this. Obviously, we see Lois to see the different Supermen that have gone evil. That can happen, a la Injustice, for example. And what is there? I'm trying to think. Is there any big moments in the middle here that I have missed? Is there any Easter eggs? Anything that we? Because it's just a zany adventure where the League of Lois is
Honestly,
chased
so
after.
around that time is when I was watching this at work and I missed some things. So
Ooh, so the League of Lois's, I really enjoyed them tying, like just keeping Lois on the back seat and trying to prevent her from helping Clark because they're going to hunt him down. And then she teams up with Mixapiclick, helps him get his hat, finds out what she needs to know, and then helps defeat him. So
yeah,
I thought it was a very strong episode for Lois. And ultimately, after a great night with Clark, she comes back to the apartment, and the orb that she has on the Superman the evil Superman lights up and she sees all them and it opens up and we get a shard of kryptonite. Mr. Picklick is there with her and says, like, I know what's going to happen, but it'd be a lot more fun to watch you figure it out and pieces out. So she has a piece of kryptonite now. She knows that Clark Superman can turn evil, or she thinks that. What do you think about the ending of this, Joe?
interesting. I assume what you were going to ask before about a character, this her being the character who's already questioned it in the past. I think she is going to tell Clark that she has it because this Lois and this Clark definitely have that relationship. Yeah, he kept secrets from her before, but it's Joker. I don't know what you mean there. A mix of Loki Joker. Nice. Okay.
Character got a bit of zaniness of that.
Well, look. That's if you know Mixie at all. If you've read him in the comics, if you see him in any sort of iteration in the shows, yeah, he has like a. I mean, he literally calls himself the Chaos God in this.
Yeah,
Episode.
very
So,
low key vibes too.
Yeah.
In terms of using just your magic for.
I think that these two have a strong relationship, a strong bond. That she'll be upfront with him and tell him I have this, and I can see him being you hold on to it just in case. Similar to how in the comics he gave Batman the kryptonite ring as a if I go evil, use this against me. I think it's gonna be that where he'll be like, I don't know much about me. I don't see myself going evil, but if I did, we need a way to stop me. This will stop me.
Yeah, and honestly, I agree with you there. That's what I'm hoping to see because this is my big issue here because Lois made such a stance in multiple episodes about trust and about not keeping secrets,
Exactly.
and she gave Clark so much grief for not telling his secret to her.
But then at the
So
very
I,
beginning of this episode, they're like, "Hey, let's just start over. Hi, I'm Lois Lane, and
yeah,
you are." And so he tells her.
yeah.
So yeah,
So I'm just hoping that she does that. I'm hoping she goes to him and says, I have this." I'm really hoping we don't get a whole episode of her struggling to do that because it would go
I
against,
can
like
see
I
us
said,
doing that.
I
I can
can
see
see it
them doing
too,
that,
which I'm
and
hoping
then
not
final episode or episode 9 giving
because
the
it's a two-parter here, so we could be left off on uh, like her potentially using that against him or
yeah.
anything. So I again, I hope that she comes like just talks to him about it. That's what I'm hoping happens. I know that's not as uh, snazzy of a thing to happen, but I do hope that exactly what Joe said plays out that way. I think that
I
would
think it
just
will.
who knows, hopefully. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and we have three episodes left, a two-parter and the final episode
Yeah.
of the season. This has been a really enjoyable show, Joe. I'm so
This has
glad
been
that
a
we
fun
continue with
show.
it.
Like we said earlier in a different episode, like we were both blasé on it in the beginning, but the more we watch it, the better it's getting.
Yeah,
This
it's
is a
more it's
great
hooking.
show.
Especially, I gotta give props to Jack Quaid too for his Superman. I do enjoy
Mhm.
it. I think he really
The
nails
whole
it.
cast, all of them are great.
Yeah. So Joe, we have our final thing for tonight: our Smallville retro recaps for Slumber. This was an episode that I vaguely remembered before watching it again. I did like the Dementor style sleep being and that whole part of the story, but it did run into some pitfalls, and it was just a meh episode for me.
Oh,
It was
see,
like,
I actually I remember this episode. As soon as it started, I'm like, I remember this. Uh the Trapper, who I think had elements of or Traveler, sorry, who I think had elements of Traveler from the League of Superheroes, Legion of
mhm.
Superheroes. Could be wrong, but definitely has had the same feel for me. Uh, but I really enjoyed this episode. I As soon as it started, I remembered it. I'm like, oh yeah, it is somebody close to her. And then when they showed the uncle, definitely the uncle. I mean, it was pretty obvious.
Yeah, I liked the dream elements of it. Him being able to come into dream and the whole like
Yeah,
Lex hitting Clark with the sword and saying
that
like,
was cool.
that was cool too. But I don't know, just wrapped up super quick. And it was no mystery of who it was really for
No,
the
you knew from the
audience,
get go
not
who
for
it
the
was.
people, but the audience. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and that's, I mean, fine for me. I was okay with that.
As far as like free like off of the main story, it's good, but again, I want it more. Like I want Smallville to tell more. I guess I'm hoping for it to be something that's not. So I'm gonna have to
But this is
maybe,
also, you gotta remember, this is the third year. This
yeah,
is junior year of the show. They are no, they don't need to get their legs, but they've already told amazing stories in season 1 and most of season 2. Now it's like, all right, cool. So we have to deal with the ramifications of the season finale of 2, the series finale of 3, what's going on there, and we have to start building our next stuff, next few things.
Well, the other thing that got me excited here was Lionel basically setting Lex up. We're getting the beginnings of Lex being sent to the mental
Yeah.
institution, which is a very enjoyable little run there. So
Yeah.
I'm getting excited for that to start. And Andrew asked, "Will you rank the episodes after season's over?"
We might.
We might. We might.
I'm not
We'll,
sure.
we'll we'll at least say what our couple favorite episodes is, Andrew,
Yeah.
and a couple of our least
Because
favorite.
that
Just
definitely would mean I have to rewatch them all. And not
yeah.
saying I
So,
won't because it's worth it. It's finding time for me to do that is the problem.
but like the sleep
I
stuff
barely
and
have
these
time to watch
pick.
Smallville. Like I usually watch it within the hours after I get
Yeah,
off of work and before we
I
start
I I
the
literally
show.
watched it while eating today, and I'm gonna watch Steel while editing this when we're done. Finish up watching Steel because I have half, well,
Have
three
fun with
quarter,
that.
three quarters of it watched. I had to tap out after first quarter
I
last
had
night.
to watch. I watched both Steel and Catwoman in the same day, my dude.
Oh my god, there's some
My
people.
Sunday
Not
sucked.
all heroes wear capes, Joe, but yeah. So again, cool, different kind of episode. I did like how Clark, the big explosions. They're like, "Oh no, he'll be fine." It's just how
You crashed the car, like you crashed the truck. That truck is totaled. And they just pull him out like he's nothing. Oh, you don't need to call the ambulance. It's fine. What?
Dream Jonathan and Martha are terrible parents.
That wasn't Dream Jonathan and Martha. That was regular Jonathan and Martha. Yeah.
Oh my God, yes, because he fell asleep. Sorry. He fell asleep. Oh my God, I thought it was a dream.
Lana comes running up with Martha, and Jonathan pulled him out of the car, and Lana's like, "Oh, I gotta call the
911.
ambulance." No, he'll be fine. What?
Way to blow the cover there, Jonathan. Way to blow the cover there. So yeah, like I said, there's some things like that what? But still,
so far though, it's like, I mean, we're only 4 episodes into the season. I did not watch episode 2. That's my bad. I tried to watch but I remember most of it. Like the season premiere was the better of this season so far.
So far.
But
and
this
that
is
wasn't
definitely right behind it, because the last episodes 2 and 3 were fine. They weren't great, but
no,
it's
not as solid of a start as I would like. But like Joe said, this is a junior year of the show, so we know it's going to get better.
Yeah, we know we got some good stuff coming up.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see that. Joe, that pretty much wraps up the episode for tonight. There's nothing else, and I haven't missed anything else. We're good. On the game says definitely ranking this year's movie releases when they've all been out. Oh, 100%.
We rank them when the movies come out.
Yeah.
I forget to do it, and I do it the last minute. But we've both already said we're going to rewatch them all before Aquaman at the end of the year, allegedly. If it does get bumped, I think we should have an episode where we do rank them, or even like a part of an episode. But yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Yes, and I'm excited to see where this falls. Like I said, there was a little bit of shuffling in my rankings of the DCEU, so I'm excited I'm gonna include this with the DCEU until we get a few DCEU movies.
I need to do a full rewatch, but I don't know whenever I'm gonna have time.
Yeah, it's tough, Joe. It's really tough to fit that in with all the other stuff we have to watch as well. But
again, other podcasts I have.
Yeah,
I have too many.
first world problems.
Yep.
Yeah. Same. Okay, listeners, we'll be back again. Like I said, Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Yep. We'll be talking about Blue Beetle. Hopefully, you're in the chat as well after already seeing the film, or just getting in the chat to get it hyped up to go see it yourself sometime this week.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. See you Friday.
Bye, y'all.
Later, everyone.